of your final exam. So don't worry about what you will see today and on Wednesday in terms of the numbers. You will not be asked to design a jet aircraft because it's not there in the textbook. The textbook just descriptive. But these slides that we have that were prepared earlier, I think by Dr. Garni and then modified by Mr. Niaz, show full calculation design of a jet aircraft, which is a good thing. I thought it would be very good for you to have it, even if you are not going to be tested in it. You can have it as a design example, because you will see about 90% of the design work of jet aircraft is similar to that of propeller aircraft. So if I were you, I will consider it like a design problem example that's given to me in complete detail. So what you will see today and Wednesday is not in the textbook, okay? So don't look at it and try to find which chapter. It applies the methodology of design to one of the case studies of chapter 9, which is the design of the Boeing 727. Okay, so it follows exactly the same outline of chapter 8. So we start with the requirements, weight of the airplane, critical performance parameters, configuration layouts, all the way to optimization, all the 7 items of the design process. But we will apply them to the design of the Boeing 727. Now, the section of the Boeing 727 in the textbook describes only the decisions that were made. Why did they do that? What was the driving? But you will not find the numerical calculations, most of them. Okay. So when they started to design the Boeing 727, they wanted a cheap aircraft relatively in terms of maintenance that can take off and land from smaller airports, not just like the larger 707 that landed on large airport. We want an aircraft that takes off and land in relatively short distance so that it can go to many other places. The aircraft doesn't have to be long range, so it was like medium to short range. So they set some design requirements. Here are the design requirements. Relatively shorter runways than the 707. Decent rate of climb. Relatively low stalling speed compared to jet aircraft. Medium range, would say medium to short range. These were the major requirements as reflected here. So, and as we go, we will talk more about the decisions that they made rather than the exact calculations, but we will present the calculations as well. So when they try to figure out the weights, they had to set a mission, just like we did in chapter 8. So takeoff, climb, cruise. The number of passengers, about 90 to 100 passengers. They wanted an aircraft that that carries that many people. And they followed exactly the same procedure. In the next 3 to 4 slides, you will see identical slides to what we had. So I'm not gonna go over them. How did they calculate the weight? We did that, picking the value of WMT over W naught from similar aircraft, using the weight fractions, exactly the same we did. The fuel weight fraction, the 6% extra. I'm sure you have that you had that in progress report, and you will be doing this in report. And that's the procedure, exactly the same procedure. This is just a repetition of the propeller. So let's see where are the differences. The takeoff distance, the ratio for the climb, for the takeoff. The only difference that we have in the weight calculation is in the specific fuel consumption, because the jet aircraft uses a jet engine. In this case, it was a high bypass ratio engine, and it has different specific fuel consumption. So rather than the value of, I think, 0.4 that you used for your propeller, these are typical specific fuel consumptions during cruise or loiter for different types of jet engines. So for a high bypass ratio turbofan engine, the C is 0.5. So I can use your Excel sheet or your notebook, and I will just replace the C of 0.5, I will replace the range, I will replace all the other things, and we will get the total weight of this aircraft. Okay, so here are the numerical values for the procedure that we have just seen, the weight ratios. And here is the weight ratio for the landing, the total weight ratio, the fuel about 20%. And this is description of the procedure where we allowed the passengers each to be 160 pounds plus 40 pounds of luggage. You can see this a little bit more than your example because this is a larger aircraft. When you fly there, you can take 2 pieces of luggage, not just one. Okay, or one large piece of luggage. So the total weight of the aircraft turned out to be about 101,000 pounds, almost 101,000. That's the initial weight estimation. So up to this point, only very minor difference between jet design and propeller aircraft design, which is the specific fuel consumption. Okay. Next time, inshallah, we will gonna go through the remaining of the design of the Boeing 727. You will see me scroll down slides just like we did today, when these slides are identical to the propeller, and then we are gonna stop at slides where decisions are being made and discuss why did they do that. Because that's very important in the design team. You see, most of the questions that you send to me over WhatsApp or email didn't have to do how to calculate this or how to calculate that. Your question was, what's the value of this? How do I assume this? What's the reasonable value? Should it be like this or that? So decisions are very important, and this is what's being highlighted in chapter 9, and that's what we're going to be highlighting in the slides. So inshallah on Wednesday, we will complete the design of the Boeing 727. We will go through the remaining steps. And until then, if you have any questions for the project, make sure you send me, make sure you submit by the deadline on Wednesday. It's very important. I will have only 2 days to look at the report before we have the presentations on Sunday. I'm waiting for final instructions of the oral exam. If KFUPM issues oral exam instructions, I will let you know and we will arrange for this. We are going to have at least one review session before the final exam, because your final exam is December 28th. That's a long way from now. So we will see. I will make a survey on what would be a good day to have. Probably would be at night. It's optional, of course, to attend. If you have questions, attend. Because I have to make it outside your exam schedule. So we'll find some room in there in your exam schedule for 1 day for a review session. And if you submit everything on time, probably your final grade in terms of the classwork will be ready by the end of this week. So you will submit Wednesday, hopefully by Friday you're gonna see it, except the oral and the final exams. Okay, I'm sorry, Sunday, because you are gonna have your final presentation as well. Okay. So let's see if you have any questions now that relate. We have a minute. I already had attendance, so that's fine. You can leave. But if you have a question, you can stay.